Let's bring in academic and Middle East expert Edmund Ghareeb. He's here in Washington. Thanks for joining us this evening. Is the 12-day war between Israel and Iran over, and did either side emerge stronger?
There's no doubt that I think there are gains and losses for both Iran and Israel. Iran, on the one hand, suffered a great deal from that earlier attacks by Israel, which led to the killing of a large number of its military leaders, nuclear scientists, the individuals who are responsible for the nuclear program in Iran, destruction of some of the industrial areas. So that was quite a blow to Iran. Nevertheless, Iran was able to regroup, and they began to launch very severe blows against Israel. They reached actually some of the scientific institutions, some of the military bases. They've attacked areas near, as if they were sending a message, near where the Dimona nuclear facilities in Israel. They also attacked the areas where there were the oil and gas facilities and infrastructure, and that was also left quite an impact. And we saw Israelis beginning to leave. On the other hand, Iran also suffered quite a bit, I mean, in terms of the earlier attacks, but it used these missiles, which were much faster and carried heavier load than even the Israelis expected, and were very destructive. So you could say that both sides were able to gain some things and lose some things. But as was mentioned earlier by your previous guest, the question of the future of this ceasefire, there are still a lot of doubts about it. I think President Trump was able to achieve this gain, I mean, for him, because he also was under pressure. Not only Israelis and Iranians were under a lot of pressure, because a large number of his supporters in the MAGA movement were very critical of the idea of becoming involved, the U.S. becoming involved in another war, while President Trump had promised that there would no longer have wars without end. And so everybody, in a sense, gained some things and lost some things so far.
Marco Rubio said the US could accept a peaceful nuclear program, but the US won't try to force regime change. What is Israel's ultimate goal? Will it try to scupper a deal, do you think?
I think clearly Israel was hoping that this would be an opportunity. Israel found itself in a very difficult situation, especially after its attack on Gaza, after its killing of so many Palestinians, children, women, civilians. This has left Israel in a very difficult situation on the international scene. It almost became, or in fact not almost, but many countries began to look at Israel as a pariah state after what it had done to the Palestinians. There were a few countries in the world which continued to support Israel, the United States, some of the European powers, but even in Europe we began to see numerous countries that were very critical. So the Israelis were in a very difficult situation on that front, at least. And so to what extent are they likely now to continue to try to find a way to get out, not only not to continue the war with Iran, but also to get out of Gaza and end the war crimes which have been committed there? I think all of this will have a difficult time in the future, but I think we're coming closer to an end to the conflict.
So what would peace look like, do you think? Is it a different vision from both sides?
I think there will, that's an excellent question, because I don't think either side is going to get everything they want. I mean, the Israelis, for example, wanted Iran not to have any nuclear programs and research for peaceful purposes, and they went and attacked them, and so did the U.S. in the beginning. But Israel had wanted to bring down the regime. They had seen the regime as a threat. They believed that the regime had allies in the area, and we saw that what happened. Hezbollah played an important part. The Houthis in Yemen were very significant, played an important role. So the Israelis thought that the Iranian regime is weak, that the economy is very difficult. They are in a difficult situation, that there were heavy sanctions on them. All of this, they believed, weakened the regime, and that there is a great deal of opposition. In fact, I've read several articles that said that by Israeli writers as well as some American writers, supporters of Israel, said that among the Iranian population, somewhere between 70 and 80% of the population are opposed to the regime. First of all, while there is opposition to the regime inside, I think clearly that the regime was not threatened. In fact, I believe many Iranians, after the attacks, they basically expressed and showed their solidarity and their expressions of nationalism.
All right, Edmund Ghareeb, really appreciate your time.
Thank you.